Hey, to start off this video, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who engaged with my legacy is broken, let's fix it video. That video is absolutely taking off, and it seems like people really enjoyed it. I think I had about 300 comments on that video as opposed to the normal 50 to 100. So I tried to make a pass through and answer most of those, but it was a lot, and I had to change my notification settings because so many notifications were coming in from that video. So, with that being said, let's watch some Psychic Frog gameplay, huh? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today will be the first Legacy video where Bloomburrow cards are going to be legal. Now, quick disclaimer, I am not playing with any Bloomburrow cards in this deck here, rather than a random basic Bloomburrow land here. But we might start running into things in the queue. The pre-release was last weekend, so I think we are good to go with those cards on Magic Online. Today's list comes from Will from Singapore, so hello to all of my viewers over there, and thank you for your support. And it is sort of a bug control deck built around Psychic Frog and Up the Beanstalk. So many times, well, let's go big screen for a minute here, because this is an important point. Many times when legacy decks break, they have a source of card advantage at about 2 mana that just outpaces other things going on in the format. And I should say 2 mana or less. Think your Ragavans, Dreadhorde Arcanist, Dig Through Time, Treasure Cruise, Wrenn and 6, all that sort of stuff. So this deck is seeking to build around Up the Beanstalk so that these 13 cards over here just turn into cantrips, and then we are also going to have Psychic Frog. Psychic Frog is a card that is very much worth defending with your Force of Wills, your Dazes, and all that sort of stuff. And if it dies, it's not the end of the world for this deck, because you can just shift into a slower, more controlling role. Notice here that this deck is playing a whopping playset of Fatal Push. This is just a card that always kills a Psychic Frog. It's not like a Lightning Bolt or a Dismember, where at some point the Psychic Frog player can just play around that by dumping all of their cards into this. These are just hard no's to Psychic Frog in particular. Now, Fatal Pushes will miss other cards in this format, which is why we might need to change up our removal suite in the post-sideboard games, and we'll count Pick Your Poison in there as well as another thing that can cleanly answer a Murktide Regent. Generally speaking, this deck list looks pretty good to me. We are in 3 colors with 4 Wastelands, which, is what it is. But in addition to the normal Brainstorms and Ponders, we have a whopping 3 copies of Lorien Revealed, as well as Life from the Loam, to make sure that we are hitting those land drops. And by the way, Life from the Loam, return 3 cards to your hand, discard 3 cards to Psychic Frog. That does sound legitimately pretty good. We do not have a lot of variety as far as our finishers go. We have 8 win conditions in the deck. There is no flexibility from that in the main deck. So, we know how we are killing the opponent every time. It is fair combat damage with a slightly unfair threat. And despite the fact that this is this late game control deck, the deck can mostly operate on 2 mana, which is why you can play cards like Daze. It's not like we are casting 3 mana Planeswalkers, it's not like we are firing off an X 4th Aerlingas or hardcasting Terminus or anything like that. These things for full price are nice. And one last interaction in case you're not familiar with it. Murktide Regent grows whenever an instant or sorcery card leaves your graveyard. Psychic Frog has an ability to exile 3 cards from your graveyard to give it flying. So you see the synergy there? So your Murktide Regents can get bigger in a hurry if you have a Psychic Frog in a full graveyard. Now that said, I don't know how often we are actually going to have a full graveyard, right? So we have Murktide Regent and Murderous Cut and a Psychic Frog and Life from the Loam that are all drawing upon our graveyard, so that's just a thing to keep in mind here. I don't think I have too much to say about the sideboard. I think it is just a solid assortment of cards. I've made no changes to this deck list as well, so we'll just fire this off, see how it plays. And folks, should you need any of these cards or maybe some cards from Bloomborough, please consider checking out toamagic.com. Tales of Adventures is my sponsor. They have treated me very well, both as a customer and as a channel, as a human even. They're good people. And if you use promo code ThrabenU, you will receive 5% off on your order, and every online order already gets free shipping. So, let's go cast some Psychic Frogs and some Dragons, huh? Okay, I think my opening hand here is a keep. I wish I was on the play, but, you know, that's true in 99% of Legacy matches. The Stifle is just so much better on the play than it is on the draw. Like, snagging that first land often makes blue cantrip hands unkeepable. There is a Delver, and I have to decide how I want to approach this hand. So, traditionally speaking, you don't want to wasteland a deck after they have made an aggressive play already. Given the context of this hand, though, where I expect this Fatal Push to get countered in one capacity or another, and then I'm actually going to kill this creature with Murderous Cut, I think I'm going to wasteland my opponent to keep a Psychic Frog from getting into play, because I think a Psychic Frog backed by a counterspell is just going to be unreasonable. And then I can try to set up a situation where I play Fatal Push around Daze, and if Daze is my opponent's only counter, I can play around it. We're hoping for no blind flip here. Fantastic, yeah. That's a little bit of an annoying land. Ooh, don't love that. So now a Daze is quite good against me, as there are now 2 creatures and the DRC gets additional value. Do I want to repeat the Wasteland play? This is weird. I think I do. Mathematically speaking, 3rd land should be pretty unlikely for a Delver deck with how low their land counts are. And since I have Force of Will to back up my removal spells, I'm in better shape from there. So the hope here is that I get to play Magic while my opponent doesn't get to play Magic. Okay, yeah, and I have succeeded on that front. But now I will probably upkeep Fatal Push to play around Force of Negation. The question becomes, what do I Fatal Push? This is the scarier thing if my opponent finds the land, but they don't have land right now. So I think in a reversal from the normal situation, I Fatal Push this. Alright, that's Force of Will pitching Murktide, which is fine. Opponent gets rid of a Fatal Push of their own, which is real good for me. Then I will Force of Will pitching this Stifle. The Stifle is really good in theory, but I think is just not going to curve out well. Wow, that's insane. There's a Psychic Frog that we stopped. This is fine, though. Like, I can Fatal Push one of these. Opponent has 1 card left. I can play Psychic Frog and take over this game, too. And now it's like, how crazy do I want to go on using my life total as a resource? I can just play Psychic Frog this turn and then take up to 6 more damage and start drawing a bunch of cards. I don't think I am going to do that, though. So I'm going to Murderous Cut. I think still Delver. I'll leave Fatal Push in Graveyard for Mystic Sanctuary purposes. And then I'm going to Ponder. I don't care if the Ponder gets dazed, but I very much care if the Murderous Cut gets dazed, which is why I played those cards in that order. Yep. So that Mishra's Bauble that went to Graveyard now means that this is a 3/3, so this is just better than Delver at this stage. I have plenty of answers to this card, but I could just get tempoed out here. Like another Daze would be disgusting. Cool. That one's tough. I think I'll keep it. So I'm going to take this hit, and then hope that between Brainstorm, my Psychic Frog draw, and whatever else happens, that I'm just good to go. Note that I do have a line where I chump block with this, and I stay alive a higher proportion of the time. I just don't think that that line results in me winning. Now we have a whole bunch of looks, dead to an Orcish Bowmasters. That'll do. I will put back... Oh, damn it, my graveyard's too small. No, it's fine. Put back 1, 2, 4th card in graveyard, island cycle, trop. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. I could have done this better. Is it another Daze? Force, Daze. Okay, I mean, sure. I feel like I really liked how I navigated that game. Hey, Livy. Yeah, 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 yeah. Maybe yeah. Probably don't play Daze. Probably don't play Stifle. Honestly, do I even need Force? Force is just good with Up the Beanstalk. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of Force of Wills. And the Spell Pierce and just play a super fair game. Deed might be going a little deep. I guess Spellbomb's also worth considering. Oh, did I accidentally leave a Force in? Sorry, I was doing some other things while sideboarding. This is unexciting, but perfectly fine. This is gonna be blue-green. I'm not interested in that stuff right now. Murktide's not quite good. It will become good quickly. I am fine with this. Sure. That's fine. The bauble gets to push my opponent forward relatively quickly. Sure. Take your card. And I don't have any removal here. So this is our Daze / Force of Will bait card. We expect that more often than not that this is just going to be Murktide Regent fuel. Oh, and we're pleasantly surprised if it does resolve. Force of Will is a great draw here. A little awkward versus a Daze. Having something that interacts with Psychic Frog is good. So this is 3rd card type. There's a decent chance that I get hit for 3 this turn. There's the fetch. A Psychic Frog ends up in graveyard. A new DRC. I probably can't let that hit play immediately. This is just awkward if my opponent does have a Daze. Sewer is not what I'm looking for. And I'll take some damage here. Am I willing to take 3 more damage to play this around Daze? Kinda just want to surveil land and Up the Beanstalk. I've already given my opponent a good Daze target, so I don't think they have Daze. Dazing that Force of Will on their turn was a very good target. Alright, cool. Carpet of Flowers. Sure. I'm just going to put an extra card into my graveyard here in all likelihood. It's not the instant or sorcery that I would have wanted, but it's what I'm getting. That's a weird choice. I'll go to 12. Sure. I also don't think you wasteland prior to your brainstorm. Now my opponent can't fetch and shuffle. So for example, they cannot fetch into Psychic Frog, which would be one of the scariest possible things that they could do from my perspective. Okay, sure. That allows them to get some crap off the top of their library with brainstorm. They get to draw their card. Mystic Sanctuary isn't 100% like guaranteed untapped anymore. Are you surgical extracting something? You are surgically extracting a Ponder. That is certainly a play in the game Magic the Gathering. Like, you luck out and get a card here, but I don't know about that one. So, 4 cards in graveyard. Cast Carpet of Flowers. I'm going to move to my 2nd main phase. I'm going to go ahead and get some bonus mana. I get some bonus blue mana. 4 cards in graveyard. Let's turn that to 5 cards in graveyard. So my opponent will potentially Pyroblast this Murktide Regent. I don't care. I draw 2 cards on cast. We will play around Daze, though. Yep. No Pyroblast. Psychic Frog's great. I have already made a land drop. Psychic Frog for next turn is cool, though. Lands are not necessarily ideal. Alright, so misplay from my opponent here. That Pyroblast should probably happen before these Up the Beanstalk draws resolve, because if I draw a counterspell, I can now protect my Murktide Regent. I didn't, but seems pretty basic. So, I'm going to get +1 mana here, and I need to kind of plan this out. Play both frogs? I think play both frogs, meaning that this is black mana. Psychic Frog number 1. Psychic Frog number 2. Pass turn. So, If I want to play around Lightning Bolt, I double discard to one of these Psychic Frogs immediately, but that's then super, super punished by a Fatal Push. I think I'm going to do it now to play around Bolt. Now there's no window where a Lightning Bolt kills this. Alright, that was fetching black, and they did not have it. So that's good. These do have to attack. That's frustrating. Alright, I need to find a removal spell. Oops, all frogs. I think I say no here. Not currently live. I attack for my 1, draw my card, and maybe hope to find something like a Murderous cut. Brainstorm. That trigger on the stack. A little weird if my opponent dazes. I take blue mana with Carpet Flowers now then. Double Psychic Frog does not seem like the best use of my mana. Life from Below, Murktide, Regent. Go back 1, 2. Play around Daze. Don't crack fetch land if I don't have to. Oh, wait, no, I need that extra thing in graveyard. Okay. Yeah. Fetch. Yeah. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess it's all of them. 5. There's Murktide. Draw 2 cards. Bowmasters. Interesting but slow. Fatal Push actively good. Fatal Push one of those away. Is New Frog better than Bowmasters? Yes, I want to hold Bowmasters to kill Brazen Borrower. So now we just need to dodge a removal spell on Murktide Regent, and we're probably stable. I can die to just a Lightning Bolt to the Dome, though. Yeah. What you gonna do? GG's.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists. And they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out.
Alright, my opening hand is okay. I probably want to start on an Underground Sea. And I would really like to use this Ponder to secure one more land drop or another cantrip. I'm going to say another cantrip is okay, and it's just very, very awkward if I get wastelanded. I will have 2 Fatal Pushes to get me out of the early game, should that happen. Alright, we did not get wastelanded. So which of Psychic Frog or Up the Beanstalk is my bait? I think Up the Beanstalk is the bait, and I want to resolve Psychic Frog. I imagine this gets a response. But in terms of land drops, we don't have the luxury of playing around Daze here, so we will not do so. There is the Brainstorm. So we're probably playing against the same deck as last round from the look of things. That's fine. Opponent can use this to help flip their Delver, or just get another draw at a counter spell to try to protect this. I have double Fatal Push though, so I am in okay shape. I think since my opponent cracked this immediately, that's telling me that they're fishing for more stuff to protect it. So I am just going to take this out right now before they get that extra draw. Yep, my read was correct. And now I just want to ponder for another land. Ponder specifically. I don't want to brainstorm lock myself. If I trade for Daze, that's fine. I am good with this. I think I'm going to go bam, 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 no shuffle, play land, pass. I have a ponder on top of my deck if I want it. Otherwise, I can just surveil land. Another instant into my, or another sorcery into my graveyard. So this is going to be a Murktide Regent, which again, Fatal Push does not answer. I am going to Brainstorm in response to that. I would happily Force of Will that creature. I am not going to get to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 lands. I guess on my turn I can... No, I can't. Murktide and Brainstorm mana doesn't work out that way. Okay. Alright, your Murktide resolves. I'm just going to try to play a better Murktide. So I do this around Daze. 2, 3, 4. Take out the beans. This is a devastating force of will if my opponent has one. Oh, fuck. That's so bad. So now I feel like I can potentially just go all in on a Psychic Frog. 2 toughness, 3 toughness, 4 toughness, 5 toughness, 6 toughness. I can go all in on a Psychic Frog and try to beat Murktide Regent in that capacity. Black mana, a Psychic Frog. For mana efficiency here, I am just going to try to Fatal Push that. Okay, cool. It worked. That's really important. Cast Psychic Frog. I think pass turn. Oh, it is really scary now that the Delver lists are going up higher on Fatal Push effects. Now, is this a Molten Collapse? Oh, that sucks. I will Brainstorm in response. Daze does not do it. 1, 2, 5, 5 Murktide. Cycle Lorien revealed 6, 6 Murktide. Okay. Frog's dead. I don't know why everyone and their mother is not cutting me off of colors today. I guess Murktide Regent is a fine thing to respect, but like I've surely already planned around that wasteland. Yeah. Have to get Trop here, basically. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did not get dazed at the end there. That's fantastic. Sure. Petty Theft. Psychic Frog of your own. Sure. So, this sucks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I just dead if my opponent plays well? I like block this Murktide Regent. They do the Psychic Frog thing twice. I literally die. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do I just hope that they miss it? I just don't win if I block. I just don't win if I block. I can't really answer Murktide Regent, so I'm just going to hope that my opponent messes up. Yeah, okay, they saw the line. Alright, so similar to last time, we'll board in the same sort of stuff. I didn't think enough about Spellbomb last time. I'll think about that here. Spell Pierce, Stifle out, Daze is out. I kept a Force of Will last time. Do I still want that Miser's Force of Will, or do I want a Spellbomb? I'm so bad at answering Murktide Regent. So it's 1, 2, 3 real answers to it, and a couple other things that technically could answer it. I want to address that with Force of Will or Spellbomb. This is where I don't have reps to know. I could also like see that Deed is just slow and play 2 of these. Let's try that. No, I also didn't think about the swamp. Hand is fine. It is not better than fine. It's a little awkward if I get wastelanded. No. Sure. I don't mind if my opponent plays a turn 1 threat because I just have a turn 1 Bowmaster to counter that. And I think I'm just going to fire it off immediately. Like, I've got stuff that I want to be doing with my mana in the next turn anyway. I don't think I get to wait. I need to fill my graveyard so these Murktide Regents become live. Plus, if my opponent returns a card to their hand, then they are not playing a Psychic Frog. And I am not currently prepared to beat Psychic Frog. One thing I am noticing about the play patterns of this deck is that this deck isn't the best Psychic Frog deck because the other decks that are playing Psychic Frog are doing things that make you use their removal on them before the Psychic Frog comes down, and Psychic Frog is usually my first threat. So my opponent's removal spells that have been rotting in their hand all game just have Psychic Frog targets, instead of other things absorbing those cards, and then the Psychic Frog actually lives and takes over games. That's annoying, but it's not actually taking me off of mana. 19. I need to get instants and sorceries into the graveyard, specifically for the Murktide. Yeah, and I did surveil one of those away. I'm hoping to put 2 wastelands back if I draw another land. Well, I will be putting 2 wastelands back. All pass turn here, I think. I am always fetching. From there, the question becomes, like, am I going to surveil? Am I going to just island cycle Lorien Revealed? That's fine. Opponent junks a Delver. Land, instant, artifact, sorcery. They did not need to do that for DRC purposes. So that means either they have more threats or they are specifically looking for something like a land or a counterspell to protect this. And they did not feel like the extra threat was necessary. They did not miss a land drop. Yeah. Underground Sea. Yeah, I'm going to cast Brainstorm here. And I can upkeep Lorien Revealed if I feel like that's a thing that I want to do. I don't think it is. I'm happy enough with these cards. So, I'm going to start here. Go to 11. Attempt to take out my opponent's threat, baiting out a counterspell. Nope. I am actually going to not play that Murktide into Daze. Yeah, no. Fuck these wastelands, they are everywhere. Alright. I'm unsure if Lorien Revealed is ultimately going to be a spell. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in graveyard for Murktide already. Don't play a frog. Yeah, so this is exactly what I'm talking about, like, right? Like, frog comes down immediately after I use my removal spell. I hate it. Yeah. Mystic Sanctuary gets back Dismember, which does not answer frog. Thanks, I hate it. Life from the Loam is pretty damn slow here. 9 cards in graveyard is very awkward. I think the way that I approach this is Wasteland the red source, so my Murktide can't be Pyroblasted. There is a question of how many of these do I actually exile, given that Murktide Regent is coming. I think I just make a big one anyway. Yeah. Pass turn. So I am currently beating this Psychic Frog, but it's wild that that might not be true for much longer. Alright. Am I getting Pyroblasted for 1 mana? I am. That sucks, obviously. Now I probably just get eaten alive by this Psychic Frog, and my opponent can decide how many resources they want to spend on making it better. It discarded a Murktide. Wow. That does not kill Psychic Frog. Guess it's really awkward that I don't have a drop in play right now. Your poison's also a sorcery. Alright. Life from the Loam. Target 1, 2, 3. We might honestly just be dredging this Life from the Loam a turn down the line to grow Murktide Regent. I just die in 2 swings to Psychic Frog, though. My removal spells not hitting both Psychic Frog and Murktide Regent at the same time has just been a disaster in this matchup. Like, the fact that I am not a red deck to be playing Pyroblast, which answers Frog and Murktide at the same time, is brutal. Alright, take 3 after discarding Wasteland. Sure, I can answer that. Pick your poison is 1. Life from the Loam could do up to 3 more instants and sorceries to grow this Murktide Regent further. Or I can take a draw off the top of the deck, hope that it is a removal spell or cantrip. I need a 7 power Murktide Regent to kill Psychic Frog. It is not happening with this. Realistically, it would have to be all hits, so I'm going to take a draw off the top. That's fantastic. Start by casting Pick Your Poison, sacrifice your DRC. Yeah. Goal is to get the surveilling thing out of play immediately. Now I need 3 colored pips to do my stuff. I think that means playing Wasteland out to play around Daze. Every colored pip matters here. Yeah. You can make an argument to do this in the other order, but I think my opponent just doesn't care about the Murktide. So yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do I do this one? I don't want to be dredging Life from the Loam. Let's say yes. I have 2 Wastelands already. I'm going to see if my opponent surveils at end of turn before choosing my Wasteland target. Yeah, they didn't. So my opponent has not flipped Delver, meaning that the top card is a creature. Or a land, I guess. They are not fetching. It is probably a creature. I could go after the Misty to make them shuffle if they want to keep that card, but they would just like let this get wastelanded and then do this anyway. So I am going to take them off black, and that goes through. Okay. It was a Murktide. Their Murktide is going to be bigger than a 6/6 in all likelihood. Yeah, this Grixis deck is just a better Psychic Frog deck than I am, and a better Murktide deck than I am. And my removal, like selectively missing creatures, is not helping my case. Dead to this Murktide. I have to chump block it. Alright. Well, there's a redraw. I spike a Psychic Frog. Not gonna play that around Daze. I need more instants and sorceries in my graveyard. Oh, I guess if I had Surveil Land prior to the Up the Beanstalk, I draw that immediately. That stays. Yeah, I think I messed up by not playing my Surveil Land first. Alright. Bam. Last turn. Now we're getting an end of turn Misty. Oh, no Surveil Land. Damn it! That was a very important card. Alright. Might lose this one for not playing my Surveil Land prior to my Up the Beanstalk. Flip to a Ponder. I'm dead to a Pyroblast. I am dead to a Lightning Bolt. I'm dead to a Molten Collapse. Jump block here is unfortunately obligatory. Let's have the Bolt. Price of Progress. Sure. I was never beating that card in a million years. GG's. Alright, my opponent is on 6 cards. I think I'm going to hold up the Spell Pierce for the first turn cycle. I have Spell Pierce plus Daze if I need both for some reason. I'll just play a turn 2 Up the Beanstalk. Sure. Tundra. For pure mana efficiency here, I am going to Spell Pierce. Not because I care about the Ponder, but because I am likely about to tap out for Up the Beanstalk. And if I can make my opponent start clunkier, I'm good with that. Now, would I like to wasteland my opponent and just cycle rather than slamming Up the Beanstalk? Yeah, I'm good with that. If my opponent is something like a Cephalid Breakfast deck, I want to keep them on low resources. Okay, yeah, seems like I've got the right read. So end of turn, I will Island Cycle. Grab an Underground Sea to get my secondary color. So Up the Beanstalk is incredibly likely to resolve. And then hopefully I just kind of bully my opponent with card advantage over time. Nice. I mean, it's not the perfect force of will there or anything, but it seems unlikely that I will die in the not too distant future. Ooh, yeah. Basic lands are good, except when they aren't. So I'm going to Ponder for now. My Dazes are going to be very good for a while. Murktide Regent. Yeah, I will happily draw that. Yeah, it's even going to cantrip. That's fine. It's not the world's biggest Murktide Regent, but it is a threat while my opponent is floundering. Ponder, yeah. Leave Wasteland in the yard. Cantrip off it. And double Daze to protect it if my opponent Force of Wills, which they don't. It seems like we got a freebie off of Spell Pierce. No. Okay, and we're done here. Yeah, that's fine. So that Vexing Bauble is probably an Urza's Saga target, so I think my read on some sort of Nadu mid-range Cephalid Breakfast style deck is probably correct. I don't really know how to approach that matchup from my side. I don't think I get to board out Force of Wills. I don't think I am excited about Stifles and Dazes and Spell Pierces. The Dazes just, like, a good portion of my counterspells are going to get shut off by Delighted Halfling or Teferi style cards. Deed's a hell of a drug for past the turn lines. Dismember kills Nadu for a single mana. Pick Your Poison can get rid of Shuko style stuff. Spellbombs have text versus the Cephalid Illusionist side of the deck, not the other side though. Bowmaster kills some stuff, doesn't kill some stuff. I think I'm going to play 2 of these cards. I'm not quite sure which ones without having matchup reps. Spellbomb? I really don't know. This is a reasonable hand of Magic the Gathering cards. I'm not the biggest fan of this. I don't know that I should throw back a hand that can stop two things while also hedging against Urza Saga. But I don't feel great about this. Basic is annoying. That Force of Will is not a great draw either. It is what it is. I am not ready for that in any capacity. You know, if I have even one... Oh, wow, that fucking sucks. If I have even one basic land, wow. One surveil land? Right, one surveil land. One surveil land. Delta, so that Fatal Push Nadu is live. The fuck? Wow, okay. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. I'm not Force of Willing that. I'm not Fatal Pushing that. That just gets to hit me forever. That's a wastelandable land, finally. Well, my Bowmasters are a lot better than I thought they were. You are not a land on this board. Ponder's fine. There's some weird flash nonsense that could happen. I'm going to do that prior to pondering to just like guarantee that I'm not about to eat some sort of like Hull Breacher style card. Murderous cut. I think I want card advantage. I want to find an Up the Beanstalk. Nope. We got 2 pair though. Alright, no secondary Icefang Coatl. New Tundra. Did I board out Life from the Loam? I did not. That's a thing that I should probably board out for this next game. Opponent is heavier on basics than I was expecting. I could push it. I don't really want to. It doesn't matter yet. I did shuffle off that Ponder. Alright, like, if we just get to the point that I start hardcasting Force of Wills, like, I am okay with this. New Icefang Coatl. Sure. That's happening. You gonna Lurin me? Ugh. Oh, you're gonna Teferi me. No, I'm not really down with that. Force Pitch Force. I have 3 black cards in hand. I think Force Pitch Force. This may be a point where I just double Fatal Push these and work towards hard casting a Lorien Revealed a turn or 2 down the line. I really wish I had a second Surveil land right now. Spell Bomb. I might have just had the wrong read on the deck. It still feels like it is a Nadu deck. I will cast this. Maybe it's not a Cephalid Breakfast deck, though. In which case, this card is not as good as I thought it was. Well, there's my land to hardcast Lorien Revealed, but that's like really not what I want to be doing. My opponent still has 5 cards here. Without an Up the Beanstalk or Psychic Frog, I just do not feel like I'm keeping up with my opponent's basic cantripping creatures. That one resolves, unfortunately. So my cantrips are bad. Or sorry, my counter spells are bad. Holy shit, this is so many lands. Fetch. Drop. Fetch. Mystic Sanctuary. Get a Ponder on top for some decent selection next turn, assuming I'm still alive. Like, it feels like a decent portion of the time I just die. That's so much land. Like, if my opponent goes Nadu Shuko this turn, like, I am effectively dead. Oh, it's a Lurin, sure. Alright, I'm going to die. But this is a combo many of you may not have seen before, so let's talk through what's about to happen. Lurin is a symmetrical card. It allows both players to cast mana value 3 or less cards as though they had flash, or creature spells specifically. So what's going to happen here is that my opponent is going to repeatedly play Recruiter of the Guard. And they can do this using a variety of things. So here we see like Recruiter of the Guard can like tutor for Recruiter of the Guards, and Cavern Harpy and Parasitic Strix. What's going to happen is my opponent will pay 1 life to return Cavern Harpy to its owner's hand, but they gain 2 life when Parasitic Strix enters the battlefield. So what is going to happen is my opponent can just drain me out from here. And now that I've explained that, I'm going to go ahead and concede. So this is just like Vexing Bauble Lurin. Vexing Bauble's a little weird because if my opponent has Vexing Bauble in play, they can't combo off with Lurin. but now we know. So, Spellbomb stock goes down. Pick Your Poison stock goes down. Bowmaster's stock goes up a lot. Spell Pierce and Dazes are better. Carpal Flowers is awkward. Swamp is potentially good if I am adding in all of these extra cards, but my opponent doesn't seem to be a Wasteland deck. Life from the Loam is worse. So I could do this, play the extra land. I do have to not lose to the fair side of the deck, in addition to the unfair side of the deck. This is unexciting, but I'll be keeping it. I just really want it Up the Beanstalk or a Psychic Frog in my opening hand. I have a bunch of looks for it. Let's start on Underground Sea, probably. Doesn't matter too much, given that I have multiple fetch lands. There is a Psychic Frog. I am fine drawing a Bayou here. Alright, pass turn. Psychic Frog's a little awkward versus Teferi, in that my opponent has a bunch of bounce things that can disincentivize me from going all in on Psychic Frog. Sure. A very fast shuffle on their end. Don't want my cards under this. Let's go Trop and just play the Frog. Now, my opponent's random death-touching Ice Fang Coatls are good against Psychic Frog, but I get at least one turn to just attack normally. I want to play it around Daze there on this Brainstorm. I showed them Daze in game 1. That's perfectly fine. A little weird to play around Daze if like some sort of Swords to Plowshares thing is going to be one of your better plays. I'm not going to play the fetch land pre-combat. I could. Not like I'm going to wasteland this turn or anything. Alright, Card Advantage Engine is online. Let's brainstorm and try to find something else cool. Nope. Without thinking about it too much, land goes back. Land goes back. 4 cards in graveyard. Fetch 5 cards in graveyard. Play an unexciting Murktide Regent, but it's a Murktide Regent that's in play alongside a Psychic Frog, so now I have 2 threats, making something like a Teferi slightly less scary. And notably, holy shit, my opponent did not Swords to Plowshares Psychic Frog. Alright. So that might be an indicator that they are going to attempt to... Oh, fuck me. Okay. You got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Attack for 7? Are we just doing that? I have 2 basics. I can attempt to play Magic. I get one of them this way. Nah. Send it. We're going in. I think that back to basics beats me. I think it's just too easy for my opponent to take this Psychic Frog out of play. But in the worlds where they don't answer this, I kill them so fast. Last turn. You've got it. So at this point, I expect that we're done. I'm just going to concede to that. I'm not going to play that one out from here. I do just lose. The back to basics put me in a terrible position. I can try to spend a few turns setting up Pernicious Deed to get rid of this. If I did that, my opponent would have just Teferied it out of play anyway. Gross. Hello. If you find that you're regularly enjoying my content and watching most or all of my videos, please consider supporting me financially if you're in the position to do so. If you're not, that's perfectly fine and good. Likes, comments, sharing my videos with friends, all that stuff means a lot. But if you are in the financial position to support me, my website can tell you all the different ways that you can do that. You can become a YouTube member or support me on Patreon. Becoming a YouTube member gives you early access to videos, and doing either one of those gets you access to my Discord server as well. Alright, so this is a hand of Magic the Gathering cards. Ilorian Revealed or Surveil Land on turn 1, followed by a Brainstorm on turn 2. I feel like this is a hand that just loses. Like, I Force of Will to stop a thing, I go down a card. I have no source of card advantage. The Murktide Regent is hard to get into play. I guess I'll keep it. I am not vibing with this deck. My current opinion is that this deck is a pile of reasonable Magic the Gathering cards that just is severely lacking in consistency. Let's just pass the turn here. There is so much blue in this format right now, for obvious reasons. I am going to just surveil land here. I think just binning anything that is not that next land. Some portion of the time I brainstorm lock myself if I do that. Figured looking at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should get me a land most of the time. Missing this land drop is catastrophic, but it can even be a wasteland. Like literally any land does it. Bam. 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 Intend on using Lorien Revealed to get a trop rather than pondering. I don't know exactly what I need yet. Sure. Not like I can set up a situation where I daze this back to my hand. This is potentially just Grixis Delver for a third time. Grixis Delver is like number 3-ish in popularity right now in the format. It's the most popular blue deck outside of Riskaminator. Would I be fine being dazed on this ponder? Yes. Let's say yes. Those are good cards. Let's keep those. I'll play the Bayou that I don't care if it gets wastelanded right now. Last turn, then I have Fatal Push up with Daze backup. If my opponent plays a Frog. Guess I could have double. I could have double Daze up, but then I wouldn't have Fatal Push up. Yeah, so I like that line. Not the biggest fan of that. That shuts off my Dazes. I just have a Psychic Frog on top of my library, though, so hopefully that's fine. I have 2 counter spells to protect it. I will use both to protect it. Getting dazed. That is a Brainstorm. I think I am just letting that resolve. I want to be able to daze a Daze. Yeah, honestly, I get it. So opponent could be still in that Riskaminator ballpark. I think it's more likely that they're Delver. Either way, it's weird that we didn't see any cast spell other than Brainstorm. Let's assume we are in that overall general Delver-y ballpark. This is the sort of stuff that I'm looking at. So I think I've been getting rid of Dazes, Stifle, Spell Pierce every time, and then shaving on the Force of Wills. I didn't pay attention to what land cast Brainstorm. Oops. That kind of matters. I'm gonna do this. That is not Key Bubble off just Wasteland here. This is perfectly fine. It's a bit weird, like this is like quite hard castable with Carpet of Flowers, assuming Carpet sticks. If Carpet doesn't stick, this card is unplayable. So I think I'm just gonna keep my Brainstorm. Basic Island, eh? Not the happiest to see like yet another basic for my opponent in the face of my Wasteland. Not the happiest to see another land draw after keeping 3. I could Brainstorm immediately. I'm not going to. I'm gonna hold out. I want a little more information here. Okay, cool. We have confirmed the Riskaminator stuff, which means that this Surgical that's sitting in the sideboard is a little better. My Force of Will effects are a little better. My Fatal Push stuff is a little worse. Opponent's double basics is good against my Life from the Loam Wasteland keep. Murderous cut is great. Yes, I'll be making blue here. I'm just trying to put some extra stuff into my graveyard right now. Spellbomb is a touch late. Frog's still good. You go back, you're late. And probably one of these lands. I think I'll put the tapped land back. Fetch out a C. This is currently dazable, but that did not happen. Now I've got cut for this troll. It's going to get in for 5-ish damage. Yeah, that's fine. I feel like everyone and their mother is just like hyper prepared for Frog today, which they should be. That didn't shuffle, which is horrifying. That probably means Force of Will to back up this troll. That's what I would be looking for if I was in my opponent's position. Sure, that's fine. I agree with that. All right. Yes, I'll make a blue. I will ponder. Yeah, those cards are good. I'm going to hide a Murderous. cut on top of my deck, I think. Bam. Cut. 1, 2. Want to leave the fetch. 3, 4. Okay, did not get forced. Opponent could just animate dead or reanimate it again. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Let's make some black mana. Bam. Cut. Target troll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take that out. I feel like my opponent has not had Daze. I'm just going to attempt to Bowmaster them before they draw a counterspell. Yeah. So this is what I was talking about with Psychic Frog, where my opponent has exhausted my removal spells by doing other things, and now their Psychic Frog is free to just take over this game. Don't even want to dredge Life from the Loam right now. So I'm just passing the turn here. I can't attack into their frog. Sure. This is brutal. Like, my decisions just have largely not mattered this game. My opponent played this game on 2 basics, so Wasteland Life from the Loam was invalidated. Yeah. Oh, fuck. That's also just bad. Alright. Yeah, so their Psychic Frog is just going to eat me alive. Yup. Alright, Spirit's broken. Next game. So my Surgical gets a little better. I can reconsider Force of Wills. Fatal Push does not kill Troll. Life from the Loam feels clunky. Having to respect the fair side and the combo finish side at the same time is so rough. I think I assume that my opponent has boarded out some number of Entombs to play better fair magic and keep most of my forces in the sideboard. Good god, that is awkward. Fine against Frog. Alive against a reanimate spell. No ability to cantrip, no ability to cast Up the Beanstalk. Hand has problems. I think I lead on Basic Island. Not to just immediately get wastelanded. Means that I don't have Fatal Push up on 1. That usually doesn't matter. Yeah. Land is so good. Cantrip is so good. That is a bad land. Oh. Yeah, so I just kind of feel like I'm clunking around. Psychic Frog. I will attempt to Fatal Push that twice. So, Fatal Push number 1. God damn it. Yeah. So now I have to up the Beanstalk. Hope is that this resolves. And that I can actually stop this Archon from getting into play. So that Archon hits play, this sure as fuck isn't answering it. Right. I could Force of Will, pitch Ponder, and hope to draw another Force effect. Or I can just give my opponent the Force. I think I force and hope to draw another Force effect. Or I guess Surgical. God damn it, I am so fucking tired of this goddamn deck. Yeah. Alright. Push Bowmasters. I think I do it like this. I think I play around Daze. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cast my cantripping Murktide. Now, at this point, try to take my opponent off of Animate Dead for Archon. Sure. There's the fetch to clear the Ponder. My opponent did like one of the cards, though. Cool. Enjoyable gameplay. Can I answer an Archon? Like, can I fucking answer that? I have 1, pick your poison. Fatal Push doesn't kill it. Dismember doesn't kill it. Don't have a bounce belt. Yeah, I have to find pick your poison or I just die to it. That's awful. I have to leave Trop untapped. Ponder 4 looks. Yeah, I can't. Yep. Shuffle. Well, we found it. So let's Lorraine Revealed. Just get another land drop. And I am playing around Daze. Please sacrifice a creature with flying. This doesn't do anything to take it out of graveyard, though, so if my opponent has another reanimation effect, it will just come back. You can make an argument that I should brainstorm while my opponent is tapped out, but I don't know what this brainstorm is trying to accomplish yet. Like, trying to answer an Archon is very different from trying to answer a Frog. Alright, second land drop. take 2 from this orc. It will just kill me. 9. Dead to Bowmaster. Not this time. Slightly awkward. I want to shuffle. I think I just shuffle that. Do I want to redraw any of my cards? Redraw Lorien Revealed. The Mystic Sanctuary is a draw 5 next turn. I think I'm just going to put a Ponder on top, though, and ponder this turn. Like, I will just die to the orc that's in play or to a reanimation spell. Like, spiking a surgical is fine insurance. Bowmaster, I'm not willing to draw Bowmaster plus these other 2. Fatal Push is perfectly fine. I'll take 2 down to 7. All right, I've got Fatal Push for that. So it's only a problem if it is defended by a counterspell. So I can ponder first if I want to attempt to defend this. Yes. Those cantrip. Attempt Fatal Push on Frog first to bait out the counterspell. I think I just do this now. I know I'm drawing another. Life from the Loam, I think, is in my sideboard. I've used the Mystic Sanctuary. I guess I could Daze. Could I Daze? I could not Daze. So Lorien Revealed can go. Got a weird lag burst there. So I don't want to play this land in case Archon gets in play. I want to discard this. We'll pass turn there. Cantrips are fine. That is not a fetch land, so my opponent is keeping the same stuff on top of their deck. I will just pass the turn here. I'll play the land, though. The land lets me hardcast 5 drops around Daze. And now I do have another card physically in hand for an Archon. Yeah. Cantrip? Let's double cantrip. Tap some amount of mana. I want to leave, I think, at least 2. That should have been Murktide Regent going as that last card there. Yeah, this is why I wanted to leave 2. Okay, cool. Pass turn. Upkeep Entomb. That is happening. Putting Atraxa in yard. Douthy's fine. I'll respond. Get a drop. Cast a Bowmaster. Bowmaster your face. Now your Douthie can resolve. I'll dismember it on my own time. Psychic Frog is great. Let's just not play Psychic Frog this turn. And just full price dismember that. Attack for 2. One goes to 11. Play a giant Murktide Regent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw 2 cards. Still don't have anything that stops a reanimate spell, unfortunately. Hope leaving this Murktide Regent in the graveyard earlier doesn't cost me. Yes. Oops, all beans. I can play that and then make a giant Murktide Regent. Play a carpet. Send on in. One goes to 9. Yes. Make blue. Cast Murktide. I'll just clear out the graveyard, it's fine. Draw 3. Still have 0 ability to stop something coming out of my opponent's graveyard. Which is honestly kind of comic. Yikes. I'm putting back 2 lands, and then it's just the question, do I want to wasteland my opponent? No. No, I don't think I do. I want a chance to cantrip into something that stops my opponent. 20 cards left in my deck. Yep. Alright, we won. That felt terrible the entire time, though. Like, if my opponent just rips a reanimation spell and puts that Atraxa into play, I probably still lose this match. My deck is really bad at answering creatures. I find this hand very awkward. I don't have Daze available on turn 1. I can play Wasteland, cycle Lorien Revealed to get my first land. That is going to leave me off 1 color, meaning I'm not Psychic Frogging on 1, or sorry, on 2 ever. I don't like this deck. All right. Is it our 4th round of Psychic Frog? No, maybe. Probably not. But I just lost to that card. So, is cool. Why is this any question? What the fuck? What are you doing? Or is it irrelevant because I'm just dead right now? No. Okay. So I have Daze online as of next turn. My best draw would be Force of Will. I mean, I have to cycle Laureate Revealed in response to that, obviously. So my opponent, maybe a Dark Depths deck. All that matters is the blue. I am getting Trop here, I think, to play Up the Beanstalk on my next turn. But my removal spells sure don't answer a 2020 indestructible creature. So I'm going to have to lean on my counter spells. Oh, you done goofed, kid. You done goofed. My opponent just fixed my mana problems. That's so fucking good for me. Holy shit. Crop rotation? Yes. Oh? Okay. Force of Will. Force of Will, no. Okay. So this tells me that my opponent has Dark Depths in hand. Yeah, I have 0 answers to an indestructible 2020 in the main deck. I guess there is a small chance that my opponent has to cast another spell on this next turn. And I can draw Force of Will to stop that, but I think my opponent just plays Dark Depths and I lose. I also can't answer this Pithing Needle. Yeah. So Daze does not do anything against that. So that is occurring. That was such a good Force of Will. Yup. So I lose. Just going to confirm there are 0 ways to answer a resolved artifact. I can play Chump Block for a couple of turns, but I'm just dead to that eventually. This is my answer to a Merit Lage. That's it. That's the one. No edicts. So the counterspells matter. I am boarding in Pernicious Deed to answer Pithing Needles because I literally can't answer them otherwise. My deck's bad. I guess we keep this and trust in Ponder to do something. Like finding a Wasteland is perfectly fine. Wasteland Life from the Loam is actively good. Ugh. No. No. Negative. Gonna adjust a little here. Fetch Thoughtseize. Fetch Pithing Needle. Sure. That's fine. I probably lose my Up the Beanstalk here. Oh, my hand sucks. If my opponent takes the Up the Beanstalk, I can't... Okay. Never mind. Almost. Almost. I still think I need to play Wasteland and pass, otherwise Vampire Hexmage plus Dark Depths just gets me. It sucks, but it's where we're at. Yes. Yep. Force of Will. Hopefully we draw a blue card off of the Up the Beanstalk trigger. I want to have access to both of my colors next turn so that I have the possibility of Wasteland, Life from the Loam, Wasteland without having to worry about colors beyond that. I did draw a blue card. That's very good for me. Dark Depths plus crop rotation is pretty scary. I do have Pernicious Deed for 0 to blow up 2 Lotus Petals as a thing that can be on my radar. Can I Deed for 1 without dying if I have Force of Will in my hand? I think the answer is yes. I'm gonna let that happen. Dark Depths from hand is scary. I think I have to take some degree of risk, though. Deed for 1. So we are hoping to catch a crop rotation in response. It is devastating because my opponent loses a land. I Force of Will this, pitching my frog. I draw a new card. And now Dark Depths doesn't just do the thing anymore. I could probably Wasteland lock my opponent from here. Dark Depths plus Lotus Petal could do it. Sure. That's fine. I can still dredge my Life from the Loam if I want to Wasteland twice. With my opponent having the Verdant available, I don't know that I do want to Wasteland twice. Okay, yeah, they just give it up there. That's fine. So now for this game on the draw, do I want to do something like Force of Negation? It is a very awkward counterspell. My fatal pushes aren't very good. I do need to respect some random sideboard creatures, you know, the Orcish Bowmaster, Douthie Voidwalker type stuff. Force of Negation is also not going to be a pitch counterspell a decent portion of the time. And I have so many cards that don't pitch to Force of Will. Holy shit. Yeah. This is pretty ideal, honestly. My opponent has gone to 5 cards here, which is probably rough for them. Are they just passing the turn, playing out nothing? They are playing an Urborg, sure. So I will happily just trade 1 for 1 with my opponent here. Sure. Spirit Guide, Sylvan Scrying, I can't daze that. Getting a new Urborg, got it. I think I just make Daze active in this turn cycle. I could play either one of these. You want to play Trop and pass? Sure. Opponent's just passing the turn. I will turn this into a land. We'll end up shuffling away some number of lands with Brainstorm at some point, in all likelihood. Let's ponder this turn, though. Psychic Frog? Sure. Yeah. No shuffle. Drop a Wasteland into play and pass. Wasteland is also just black mana for the purposes of Psychic Frog. Should that need arise? Yep. Daze getting less good. That occurs. I probably don't want this next card down. Let's Misty and fetch. I will still get Underground Sea. That Urborg could end up going away. We will go blue and black for a Psychic Frog. The Psychic Frog means that Vampire Hexmage chip attacks are not gonna do it. Yeah, no, this is a little scary. I don't think it's scary anymore. Bam. Force action. Sack. Pick your poison. Opponent sacrifices a creature with flying. Should be fine. I can also probably just like safely attack with Psychic Frog as well. Yeah. Yeah. We'll just draw a card. Fatal Push is great. Pick your poison is a sorcery. So I think in case things go wrong, I will go ahead and just start my fight here. I'm going to do 2 1-for-1 trades while I have Psychic Frog in play. So this is ultimately going to be positive for me despite that. Loading a black. Crop rotation seems fine. Ghost Quarter, got it. Ooh. Well, I'll Wasteland you right back. Probably the Urborg. Yeah. And our stack clears. I've made my land drop. So I'll just pass the turn. My opponent has 1 card left. And this is the point where I can just consider dumping a bunch of cards into Psychic Frog and smacking my opponent around. I will respond to that. We'll just be hiding the Pick Your Poison on top. The rest doesn't super matter. Yeah, okay. They are sick of my shit. That's fair. So we put up a 2-3 finish. Well, Will, I don't think we were the better Psychic Frog deck in any of our rounds where we were in a Psychic Frog mirror. So conceptually, I think the biggest problem with this deck list, having played it now, is that the deck has 8 win conditions, and that is a fine number of win conditions. But the issue is that these cards are the first thing that a removal spell is going to get fired on. So unless I play these with a counterspell backup, like, they are just not going the distance. So I think that's problem 1, is there's not enough other threats in the deck to take the initial removal spells out of our opponent's hand. These cards go the distance. They shouldn't need that many turns to win or effectively win the game, but in practice, they were just getting answered immediately. I think thing number 2 that's a problem is that the removal in this deck was just missing everything I needed to hit. Like, Merit Lage was a problem. Push missing Murktide Regent was a problem. I think Push was missing Grief. Dismember was missing Frog. Dismember was missing Murktide. So, like, this is a very reasonable mix of lands and spells. But in practice with how these games played out, I just felt like I was clunking around The times where I had the Up the Beanstalk engine going, the deck felt pretty good. The way the sideboarding was working, though, is that I was often cutting cards that would cantrip with Up the Beanstalk, meaning it was less reliable as an engine. And if I'm doing that while Psychic Frog is just saying, "Get down, Mr. President," and jumping in front of every removal spell, like, it just doesn't regularly fire on all cylinders. Not sure about the land count in the deck. I am not the best person to advise on that. It felt like I flooded out a decent amount of the time. And I guess ultimately, when I ask the question, like, why do I want to play this deck over Grixis Delver or over Riscaminator, I don't know that I can answer it. Not having many answers to large creatures, you know, your Atraxas, your Archon of Cruelties, Merit Lages, really felt like a problem. So we put up some wins with this, but it was a struggle. I'm gonna give this one a thumbs down. There's also a very large number of cards that can end up not pitching to Force of Will. Like, it's perfectly fine in game 1, I think. Like, it's a lot. It is 11. But if you end up in a fair match and you start doing stuff that looks like this, your Force of Wills basically become unplayable. And, like, does that mean you are boarding out, like, your Dazes and your Forces and your Spell Pierce and your Stifle all at the same time? How many cards is that? 10? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Yeah, I don't know. Thumbs down is the ultimate verdict from me. But if you disagree and you want to buy some of these cards, consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com, using promo code ThrabenU, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!